just like the New York Rangers, we're going to move on from Tony DeAngelo. So first, let's talk about the two games against Pittsburgh. I know we definitely want to talk about the Buffalo game for one reason alone. But for the two games against Pittsburgh, what did you like about what you saw from them?
They played very up and down in the first game. Like, there were times where you thought that they were going to take over, they were going to be strong, and they were going to right the ship, and then they just lost the momentum and just went right back to what they were doing all season, the same flailing around and bad defensive miscues and mental lapses. And that's what a lot of this is. It's not that they're getting outskilled handily or anything like that by the Penguins, but they're making mental lapses. Like, for example, there's been I've counted probably about 4 or 5 plays where, as much as I love Keandre Miller, it's a major rookie mistake that's got to be addressed. He's letting guys get behind him, and like Kasperi Kapanen and Brian Rust getting those home run passes. Thankfully, those are the only 2 goals that really happened on plays like that. There are other breakaways where, the goaltending's either come up big or, shots been flubbed, so on. But you've got to stop doing that. You got to stop letting guys in behind them. Jacob Trouba has just not looked good all season. Aside from the Islander game, where I don't think anybody played bad in that game. Then again, the Islanders just absolutely came out flat. But I think he was bad. Losing Brendan Smith, I don't think that anytime after 2017, I don't think anybody was going to say this, but losing Brendan Smith's not a good thing right now. It's really not. It's really not. And I liked what I've seen from Lafreniere. He's looked good. He's looked better. I think he's getting more comfortable. I think there's more confidence there. Artemi Panarin is starting to play better. Mika Zibanejad has still got to be better. He still just looks off. He looks a step slow. He's shanking one-timers that he normally would absolutely blow through the net.
Or passing up on them.
Passing up on them, too. Another thing, overpassing has to stop. They're still passing up good quality shots in favor of passes. Chris Kreider has looked better. He still has those spells where you're like, what are you doing? But he's looked better. The defense between like Fox and Miller, and I would even, like I said, I would venture to say Brendan Smith has been good. Ryan Lindgren was up and down earlier on in the season. I think he's been a little better these past few games, especially after the Buffalo loss. I think Ryan Lindgren had probably his worst game of the season against Buffalo in that overtime loss. He was on for several chances against. He didn't look good. He was just missing plays and not in the right position in the zone at times and letting guys go and missing assignments. Pavel Buchnevich has been steady and has just been a godsend this season. I love what he's done. I'll give credit to David Quinn there because David Quinn's really been on him for these 3 years that he's been here. So I think Buchnevich is finally starting to get the message, and he's playing very well. It's like when Charlie Conway in Eden Hall, when they had to turn Charlie Conway into a two-way player, and Conway finally got the message. So, yeah, but there's been some good things, and Shesterkin was better last night. I would say he was still a little shaky. There were 3 plays that really kind of stuck out to me where it's like I know.
The Zucker goal?
Yeah, the Zucker goal, he lunged for the shot that was going wide, high right. Then there was another puck afterwards that went over the top of the net, and it wasn't even close, and he lunged up for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the play where Trouba slid into Shesterkin and Keandre Miller saved that game-tying goal.
By the way, that was a Zucker wraparound too.
It was another wraparound, yeah. I mean, Shesterkin was – what happened originally is that he committed to a shot that wasn't taken. When Zucker was coming in from the no, it was Tanev, sorry. No, different play. The Tanev one where Tanev went or took the faked the shot, came in from the left side, faked the shot, went around the net, and almost scored.
Okay, yeah, that's the one that Miller ended up blocking.
Yeah.
All right, I thought that was Zucker.
No, I believe it was
whoever it is
Tanev, actually.
Yeah.
I could, you know what, I could be wrong, but I believe it was Tanev.
Either one of us are correct on this. It's still the same play. Keep describing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but Shesterkin was out of position on that shot because he overcommitted to a shot that was never taken. Like that. And my uncle played semi-pro hockey, and he was always right about Henrik Lundqvist. And he said one thing about Henrik Lundqvist, and he knew he was going to have a bad game, was when Henrik Lundqvist was going down early on shots. And it beaten up high because of it. And my uncle said the same thing when when these guys are committing on shots that aren't there or something like that, it's something in their heads. So the goaltending still has to be. It was better, but it's still got to be better for them to win. Thankfully, it was good enough last night. Hopefully, this is a confidence boost and it's a start of good things going forward.
Well, first, let me just address Shesterkin because when he started the game overcommitting a lot and moving around too much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not gonna have a good game as a goalie. Goalie's all about positioning and angles and something, and then reflexes come far beyond that. So when he stopped moving around so much, he was gold. Again, going back to your play, and we're gonna have plenty of years to talk about greatness of or how good Keandre Miller is, but and again, I got to pronounce his name right. So, but Keandre Miller stopping on the dime, coming back, blocking the shot, and keeping it out of harm's way. If Trouba wouldn't have run into him if he didn't overcommit so much. So that's sort of one thing that was there. Trouba reacted with I gotta stop the wraparound. I cursed again. Fortunately, I have a bleep button I'll be using. Not for the reason you think I'll be using that. Get into that one. I'll get into that one later. But I thought the two games against Pittsburgh, they played with a lot more passion. I thought they were. You saw it on the Kreider goal on Saturday night when they tied the game, and he was pumped. The Miller assist on Saturday night on the 2-on-0. On a 2-on-0, shorthanded with one of them being a defenseman, unheard of. And that one you just look over, that was magnificent. I could have scored that goal, Kevin Rooney. The one you got last night was pretty good though.
Yeah.
So it's so again, now they're starting to get guys back in the fold. Like you said, Kreider's looked better. Buchnevich has been good. Just got to get Mika back, and maybe we could talk about things because 5 out of the possible 6 points, really good for them. To the bad stuff. One, can we win a damn face-off? Saturday night, they allowed 2 goals because they don't win face-offs.
That's bad.
Come on. And I know there are people that would say to me that, face-offs are overrated, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, guess what? If everything is all about possession, face-offs literally are possessions. So you're just giving it up. And it's just, come on. The other thing that I was not encouraged with the last week and Saturday night that did not happen last night, and I was happy about that. Goals in the final minute of the period. They are mental breakers. They drive you nuts. Penalties, never so bad. When I was a penalty killer, I always used to think, all right, I got to kill 2 1-minute power plays. Goals at the end of the period, it's like we can't even get into the locker room or even to intermission without letting in one. And I think both Buffalo and Pittsburgh both did it. To last night, that's what I was watching on. Can we hold the lead? Can they hold the lead? Can they get through it? And they did. So it's a lot more that was right. And by the way, the Buffalo game and last night, The only 2 times, other than the shutout this season, they've allowed less than 3 goals.
Yeah. Pittsburgh was playing without Chris Letang for the majority of those 2 games because he got hurt obviously early in the first game. So that doesn't help the Penguins, but the Penguins still have enough firepower to the point where they can score goals. What I'll say in terms of a positive there in that, especially in that last game, was they were perfect on the penalty kill. And they took a lot of penalties still in that game, which is bad, but the penalty kill has gotten better. And
yes.
The face-offs, I wanted to say something before, but I didn't want to cut you off. But Michael Frolik would have been a perfect acquisition for this team because he can win face-offs, he can kill penalties, and he can give you good bottom 6 minutes. And I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they didn't get him because Montreal only signed him for $1 million. And then I think they waived him, after that and put him on taxi squad. So
there's going to be guys that they're going to acquire because this roster is still in transition. Like when you saw Dan Boyle and Dominic Moore on the same line in 2014,
Brian,
there's a reason why that 4th line was so great because they played defensive minutes. They even had a couple of huge goals. One of them that put the Rangers in the Stanley Cup
Finals. I was there for that.
Yeah. I mean,
that was nuts.
First off, I could talk poetic about that moment almost as much as the Marty St. Louis goal, because the Dominic Moore goal was bigger, but the Marty St. Louis goal was just for Mother's Day, and that's where we had to get with that.
I was at the game 4 overtime winner one in 2014.
Oh yeah,
St. Louis. That was nuts. Too.
I was there too.
Oh
I was
God,
completely crazy.
Oh,
but they got to start answering some personnel questions soon. But the face-offs got to come into it because you can't have it where you're winning 44% of your face-offs. That's just not going to work.
No,
that's not going to work. But
I think that's one of the worst percentages in the league, I believe.
Yes, and I wanted to make the point about it because Boston has a guy named Patrice Bergeron who wins a lot of face-offs. But the top of the league in face-off percentage doesn't necessarily translate to the best team in the NHL. That's what the detractors of this would say.